What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having yourselves a great weekend. Hope you're enjoying your time off. Hopefully, the holiday coming up. This is a special day for me, though. I finally got done the NFC offseason grade, so we're here to talk about it tonight. Now, this is not a live video, but still would love to hear from you. Whatever thoughts you have, any questions, whatever's on your mind. But we're going to go through. We're going to take a look at each of these teams, the Eagles, Commanders, the Cowboys, the Giants. We'll look at who they've added, who they've lost, the guys they've re-signed, those that they've extended, free agents still remaining. We'll look at their draft picks, their cap space remaining, and I'll give them an off-season grade for right now. Now, closer to the season, once we get to see how some of these pieces are playing out, what's going on, maybe they've added more people, I will give you an updated depth chart of all these teams and give you my opinion on who I think is going to win the division. But this is a little pre-talk to that. We'll take a look at what these teams have done, and I'll let you know how I feel they've improved or where they lack, all that great stuff. Let's jump right into this bad boy, and I appreciate you all hitting that like button, sharing this, subscribing. Cannot thank you enough. It's sicko season, so we're getting through these times as best we can. Got a couple of months to wait here. So I'm going to do my best to give you guys as much info as I possibly can throughout. Let's start it off by talking about the NFC East. So, last year, the Kings, Philadelphia Eagles of the NFL, so not just the NFC East, we obviously won it all, love it. But the Commanders were against us in the NFC Championship game. They have vastly improved. Cowboys lost Dak Prescott, had a lot of issues. The Giants, they just sucked. So, a lot of teams, with a lot of moves needed to be made in this division. The Eagles weren't really one of them. I thought, same with the Commanders. You have a lot of pieces already, kind of the same with the Cowboys. So when we grade these, remember that I'm talking about, the players they've lost, how they've added, we're looking at the whole thing, not just who made the biggest splash play here. That's not always important for teams like the Eagles who win the Super Bowl. You don't have to go out and win free agency. So that's what we're encompassing, all of those moves. So let's start it off with the team at the bottom there. We'll start off with the New York Giants. So let's take a look at what they did via free agency and, whether they traded anything like that as well. But they obviously got Russell Wilson, a big step for them. Jameis Winston also added. We know they drafted a quarterback. So a complete overhaul of the quarterback room, something I thought, they needed. So that's a good bridge there. Russell Wilson to Jackson Dart, I think a good signing there. And Jameis Winston, a good backup to have as well. You see a couple of receivers were added there, some offensive linemen. And then on defense, Paulson, Adebo, Javon Holland, Golson, Ledbetter, Demukeji, Robertson, Harris, Board. They really added some pieces here. So trying to turn things around. You see the players that they re-signed and Slayton on the offensive line, Van Roten and Stinney, Manhurts, Smith-Marset at the returner there. So you've got some specialists as well. They did lose Ojulari, an edge with a bright future, but some injury history. You got Pinnock there, Adoree Jackson, Simmons, and then a few depth pieces there. But they lost a few, added a lot, and you can see a bunch of free agents that are still remaining out there, Coughlin and Stroman and Adams. But they're trying to, move in a different direction here, get a little bit younger, get some different pieces in there. So I think, a smart move not to bring back a lot of those pieces. And in the draft, I thought they had a pretty damn good draft. You get Abdul Carter, which we talked about leading up to it. They'd be crazy if they let him pass. They did not. So you have him and Brian Burns together. Thibodeau is still there. So that's quite a rotation on the edge there. And then you've got Jackson Dart, the hopeful quarterback future, guy of the future there. And I thought he was pretty talented. We talked about him before the draft. We'll see how he pans out. But, hey, man, could be their future quarterback right there. Then getting Darius Alexander with their third pick. Holy hell, man. That's three really good picks to start it off. I thought Alexander was a stud in this draft. And then you see Scatibo, the next pick, adding a running back that I like to the mix. Already got a nice little running back room there. So to me, another good pick for them adding to the running back room. You've got Tyrone Tracy, who has a bright future with Singletary still there. Now Scatibo. a good move. And then Marcus Mbow, we talked about him before the draft, a good lineman there. Tight end then, who can also play fullback. So Fedone, an intriguing piece. And then Kobe Black to finish things out for them. But a really good draft for them, a good free agency. And I know it seems crazy to say about the Giants, but I gave an A+ because they have just sucked as of late. And I thought, they went into free agency, did what they needed to do, went into this draft, did what they needed to do. I thought overall getting, starters on defense like a Debo and Holland, drafting Abdul Carter, getting Roy Robertson Harris in there to add to that line with Dexter Lawrence, I thought a really good move for them to get this defense going. And then you have a lot of young pieces, Neighbors, the tight end Theo Johnson, Tyrone Tracy I mentioned. So you have skilled positions. You have some linemen there. You drafted Mbow. I think, next year you should focus more on the offensive line as well. But you've got some intriguing pieces already there. I thought overall they did what they needed to do, went in and had themselves a damn good offseason. So, it was really hard to, give them that A+ because I just really don't like the Giants. But I got to give it to them. I thought that they did really well in that draft. That was really good. They solidified that D-line for the future, quarterback maybe of the future, made their running back room stacked up. So, yeah, I thought they did pretty damn well there. So good job to the Giants. Let me know how you feel. What grade would you give the New York Giants? Do you agree? Do you think that, they still suck? And they definitely still can. Russell Wilson's getting a little bit older, but he's got some firepower to throw to. Theo Johnson, Neighbors there, Slayton back. So we'll see what they do. But I thought overall in the offseason, they did what they needed to improve this roster. Now up next would be the Cowboys, who were, 7-10, but Dak Prescott was out. We talk about it. Can they add another receiver with CeeDee Lamb? And, well, they just did that pretty damn recently with the George Pickens addition. And I think that's a pretty damn good addition. So, I got to give it up to them for that. They added Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders to the running back room there. Drafted one then, too, you'll see. Getting Lyman and Sadiq Charles and Robert Jones. You get Paris Campbell from the Eagles. Joe Milton they traded for, quarterback from the Patriots there. And then on defense, Kyer Elam, Kenneth Murray, Peyton Turner. You got some pieces here that could be depth pieces. Dante Fowler could start. You got Solomon Thomas. You got Jack Sanborn. So I thought some pretty damn good additions there for them. And then you see the guys that are re-signed, bringing back, Bell and Osadek Dua, CJ Goodwin's back there, McQuamo, Iwanye Thomas. I thought overall did pretty well. With the guys they needed to bring back, Brock Hoffman on the offensive line, Kavontae Turpin, the return specialist. So, did good there. They lost Zach Martin to retirement. That sucks, but they took care of that in the draft. Brandon Cooks, Dowdle, Rush, Trey Lance, Adoga, and then on defense, losing DeMarcus Lawrence, Jordan Lewis, Chauncey Golston, Carlos Watkins, Amor Warrior. You lost some starting pieces, but I think in, free agency they added, via trade they added, and you see some free agents remain. Eric Kendrick's old ass, Linval Joseph's old ass, Nick Vigil, Carl Lawson, Earl Bostic. Maybe you bring some of those guys back after camp. You see what's going on with your team. You need something. But I thought, they did well overall in free agency. And then in the draft, I don't even like saying this, but, man, they had a really good draft. Getting Tyler Booker there with their first pick at 12. I talked about him pre-draft. I actually wasn't as high as a lot of people on him, but I still think he could have a good future. And on that Dallas Cowboys offensive line, I think he could excel. So could be a good pick for them. They don't need to rush him necessarily, but I think, sooner rather than later, he's going to be starting on that offensive line. I think he should. But regardless, it's a good pick. And Ezeriku from Boston College is an awesome edge. You got Siobhan Ravel in the third round. I thought that was a steal of a pick. Dude's got some great athleticism. Only saw brief, star form from him, and that's at East Carolina. So, hey, man, that's why guys like him fall, but he could definitely have a very bright future. Then you get Jaden Ballou, the running back, I thought, really making this running back room interesting with Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams. You get Shamar James, the linebacker out of Florida. Then you get Cornelius and Toy, the nose tackle there, Mafa. You got some good picks there. I thought, in my opinion, a really good draft. And then the last one, King Basode, Aking Basode from Maryland. He is somebody, a depth piece. But the first few picks, I thought you really added what you needed to. Again, I thought the Cowboys already had a pretty damn good team. You add George Pickens to this offense with CeeDee Lamb. Getting, Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders with Jaden Blue is still meh at the running back room. But you got Dak Prescott back. If he's healthy, oh boy. And, getting Dante Fowler where, you lose pieces you added. And Kenneth Murray was added instead of Eric Kendricks. So I thought overall they did pretty damn well. Brought back Devontae Turpin in the return game. So offense, defense, special teams all should be improved. And hey, man, that's an A+ for me again. And I really don't like doing that for the Cowboys. But old Jerry's ass really went out, finally got them a number one receiver, to go outside, whereas CeeDee Lamb can flourish in the slot, call him number one, 1A, 1B, whatever. But I thought the Cowboys overall did really well. So as much as I hate saying it, they will definitely be competing for that NFC East title. I don't know that the Giants are there just yet. They got an A+ because they did so well. So just remember, this is not like I think they're going to be an amazing team. The Giants, that is. But the Cowboys, I think, could be a really good team. And, that's fine and dandy. We know even if they are the number one seed, they will choke it away right in the playoffs. But that's for another time. I just think that overall in the offseason, they did what they needed to do and had a really good offseason. And, well, should make the NFC East the best division in the league. And I think a couple more wins for the Cowboys this year. Same goes for the Giants, and Cowboys. I think when I'm looking at these grades, can they improve their win count? And I think that's a definite yes for both of them. Now, next, we've got the Commanders. But you can let me know how you feel about the Cowboys. What grade would you give them? But I'm going to jump right into the Commanders here. Give you a little look at the team we played in the NFC Championship and spanked the living hell out of them. But you can see they made some changes here and also a lot the same because holy shit, look at all the players they re-signed there. Ertz, and Wiley, and Scott, and Noah Brown is back, McNichols. They returned a lot of pieces here, man. But, some good pieces. Bobby Wagner, Ben Gainey there, Sheldon Day, Clellan Ferrell. They got a lot of pieces. The punter, Tress Way. Now, they did lose Jonathan Allen finally, Benjamin St-Juste, Jeremy Chin, Dante Fowler, Derek Forrest. So they did lose some pieces there. Cornelius Lucas on the line. You've got some guys that are still free agent, Crowder and Driscoll, and that's perfectly fine. But you can see on the additions page, getting Deebo Samuel, trading for him and trading for Laramie Tunsil. Those are two big moves for them, good moves. You got Erbig there, Josh Johnson. You added some depth pieces on offense, and then, you lose Allen, but you bring in Kinlaw. You got Dietrich Wise there, Jonathan Jones, Will Harris. So Matt Gay, the kicker, you've added starting potential abound there, dude. I thought they did really well in free agency, trying to improve and be able to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And I thought they did a pretty good job of that, adding Deebo Samuel and bringing back Noah Brown. So now you've got them with Terry McLaurin. You drafted Lane. You've got McCaffrey still there. So I thought they did well. Getting a left tackle in Laramie Tunsil, that's huge. Bringing back Ertz, that's big. You've got good running backs. Eckler will be healthy with Brian Robinson. So offense is looking good. Now, we talked about Kinlaw and Wise on the D-line. Will Harris, he should really help that safety room. Getting Jonathan Jones, who they drafted at corner as well. Man, their secondary looking pretty good. And speaking of drafting, let's just take a look here. I thought, only 5 picks here, but they got Josh Connerly. So helping their line for the future there. A smart move, a good pick for them. And then those Trey Amos. You guys know my guy this year really wanted the Eagles to try to go after someone like him to pair with, Quignon and Coop for the future. But didn't happen. But Trey Amos, he is a stud. And they've already got Marshawn Lattimore, who they traded for. They've got Mike Sainer still, who I loved last year. And then Igbenegany was brought back, as mentioned. You've got other pieces. Jonathan Jones was added. So, man, having Trey Amos, that's a lot of good corners competing there. Adding Jalen Lane to the wide receiver room. And then Kane Medrano, one of my favorite linebackers from this draft class. We talked about his versatility. Really like that kid. And then Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, another running back that I liked. So they took a lot of pieces of guys that we talked about this offseason And look, man, solidifying that D line, getting another weapon for Jaden McDaniels. I already thought they were pretty damn good. Lost a few pieces, but were able to already add additions to where they lost. Another A plus, and I hate giving these teams such a good grade, but they really did well. And I'm so sorry I'm not mentioning it, but you can see at the top of these when I give the grade what their cap space is. So I'll recap that at the end here. But I thought overall the Commanders did another damn good job of doing what they could, and they've got money to be able to add more if they feel they need once you start seeing your offseason programs and what's going down with your team. But overall, I thought the Commanders did really well. But you can let me know how you feel. What grade would you give the Commanders? And last but not least, those at the top of the mountain, the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Let's take a gander here. And, well, a lot of moves made here because, well, we lost a lot of pieces, and we knew most of them that were coming. Milton Williams, Josh Sweat getting paid, Slay getting older, Gardner Johnson. That was a wild one. That came out of nowhere, but Howie knows what he's doing. BG retired, Rogers left, Burks left, Maddox, Becton left, Gainwell, Campbell, Pickett, Covey, Johnson. So a lot of pieces moved on. You see a lot of guys still free agents: Bradbury, Morrow, Blasingame, Driscoll, Gates, Zola. So there's a lot of pieces that are gone. But you can see you brought back Zach Bond, you brought back Ben Van Sumeren, and then you extended Lane Johnson, Saquon Barkley, Cam Jurgens, Dallas Goedert got a restructure there. So, oh, hell yeah, I'm all about it. Made sure you had the guys that you needed to make this run for back-to-back and build this dynasty. So I thought overall great there. And then you see the additions. Now, everybody's pissed off. We didn't make a superstar addition, blah, blah, blah. Look, man, we didn't need to. You added Azeez Ojulari, who I think, is a stud and will fit perfectly in Vic Fangio's defense. We've talked about him since last year, as a trade candidate, I thought. Now, if he can stay healthy is the key, but anybody you want to be healthy. So, but another one is Joshua Uche, who I think is another guy that fits exactly what you're looking for in the Vic Fangio defense, a versatile guy that can play off ball, he can play on the edge. So, yeah, I like those additions. And with Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt, I think this edge room going to be vastly improved, actually, even though you lost Sweat. I'm liking it. Very excited about the future. You added Patrick Johnson for depth. You drafted a guy. You got Adoree Jackson at depth, hoping Kaylee Ringo steps it up. And then on offense, dude, you added A.J. Dillon, Harrison Bryant, Kendall Lamb, Matt Pryor. You traded for Kenyon Green, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Kylan Grant, Terrace Marshall, and then a return guy in Avery Williams and a long snapper in Charlie Hewlett. So, man, they went out and got the pieces they needed, making sure they had depth everywhere, dude. Long snapper. We saw some issues with kicking. Maybe it was a long snapper, so he's gone. You look at the return game, you got a guy that can both kick and punt return in Avery Williams. Oh, hell yeah. Now, in the draft, these mother effers go ahead with 8 picks, turn them into 10 picks, and how he works his effing magic. He somehow gets a top 10 pick at pick 31 in Jihad Campbell. Oh, my God. I still can't believe it. And we don't know what's going to happen with Nakobe Dean, if he's going to be ready right away. But Bond and Campbell, holy shit, them together, those are the perfect linebackers for Vic Fangio's defense. Very excited about that pick. You get Drew Makuba, who he wants to be known as Drew, not Andrew. So out of Clemson. And, obviously you traded away Gardner Johnson, Makuba with Sidney Brown there, Reed Blankenship. I like that safety room. McCollum there, Lewis Seen. You've got competition. So excited about that. Ty Robinson, though. You got rid of, you let go Milton Williams. He got paid. Good for him. But you have him, a Jomo. Clearly with Jalen Gardner and Jordan Davis. Thomas Booker's there. Byron Young was brought in. Gabe Hall is back. So you've got a lot of pieces. But Ty Robinson, I thought, was a fantastic pick. Dude is a monster. I call him the Vanilla Gorilla. And, he's a versatile piece that can move all across the line. Big boy. Love it. Mac McWilliams, a backup for Coop DeJean. Guy that can return the ball. Love his athleticism, ball skills. We talked about what a great pick. Smile London, he's a guy that is a depth piece, but, dude, he could be a starter somewhere one day. And I think, having a lot of depth at linebacker is a good thing. He could be a special teams ace for us right off the bat. Love it. Drew Kendall, talked about it, one of my guys in this draft. I think we needed a backup center. I told you I wanted it to be Drew Kendall, and that is who we got. Love it. Think he will try at guard as well, so he can push Tyler Steen. Everybody, we got a lot of pieces. Pryor, we already looked at. guys that could push for that guard job, Kenyon Green. So, Drew Kendall, welcome to the mix. Kyle McCord led the NCAA in pass yards last year. This is somebody excited to have some competition for Dorian Thompson-Robinson at that QB3 spot. So I like that. Miles Hinton, Cameron Williams, adding some depth. Two guys that fell a little bit in the draft that I think have some high upside. Love that. Then Antoine Powell-Ryland. I think another good pick. You add to the edge room. Can he even make the team with all the depth the Eagles have in that room? I know what the media says, and they don't know who these players are, so they're upset about things. But I'm really excited about everything that was done. And the Eagles didn't have to go out and make any splash plays, and there was no need in the draft. It was simply go out, add depth, and add pieces that you think could be part of this future, and that is exactly what Howie Roseman and the Eagles did, and, well, another A+. So for the first time on this show, all of them get the same grade, and I think all of them had a fantastic draft and offseason. And you see the Eagles here still have $25.8 million in cap space. So if they want to add or trade or do anything, add a Stephon Gilmore or do whatever the hell they want, Justin Simmons, they can do that. So A+, did what you already needed to do, still have money to do whatever you please. Now, I'll go through again and show you. Here are the Commanders. They've got $22 million and almost 23 there. So if they want to add or do anything, they could still do so. So they got an A+ as well. The Cowboys got an A+ as well. And I have them, with $31.8 million here. So they want to add some players. They can do that. So all three of those teams still able to spend, do their thing. Only team that's a little strapped for cash there would be the Giants. They went out and spent most of everything they had. They've got almost $6 million there at $5.9 million in cap space. But you see it there. A+ is for everybody. Did a great job. Three of those teams still have a lot of money. If they feel, throughout this all season, maybe it takes till the preseason, they see they've got a hole somewhere, need to add, maybe they will do so. But that's all I've got for you, ladies and gentlemen. Again, look for another show, but it'll have their depth charts, all their players, everything. And I'll tell you who I think is the best in the NFC East and how I have them ranked and their record projections, all that stuff we do each year. But, yeah, again, all I've got for you on this one. If you enjoyed this, got something from it, do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Share this bad boy. Subscribe and join the family. But I hope you all have a great weekend. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you to all of those who have served, and sorry for all of those you have lost. And I love each and every one of you. Hope you know that I'm always here for you. You need anything, feel free to reach out. Doesn't have to be about the birds. But again, have a great weekend. I love you guys. And until next time, I am Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. You all stay safe out there. And as always, go Birds!